Hey there. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is my journey and my journey only, and I'm sharing it as it evolved. This is not meant to be any expertise on either mental, financial, or medical advice. So if you need an expert, consult them. Use your discernment. Okay, with that out of the way. So I finally landed in Amsterdam, and I talked about her on the last video, not the last video, videos a while ago. But I was headed straight from Amsterdam to Soest, I think is how you pronounce it, to see my friend Mullet. I was going to go stay in a hotel, and then I was going to get to hang out with her a little bit. I was super excited. I hadn't seen her for a while. By the way, all the pictures are stolen from the websites of the places that I went, so they are not made by me. I just want to do full disclosure. I was finally feeling like myself again. I was totally dancing as I walked on the streets from my hotel. There was great music. I was getting a lot of clairaudience. It was fantastic. I was super excited to see my friend Mullet. She called me, and she was a little reticent to ask me about what she wanted to do. And what I mean by that is she was like, well, I'm like, just say it, for God's sakes. And she's like, well, I know Americans are a little conservative. She made me laugh. But how do you feel about spending the day in a bunch of saunas? I was super excited because, as I've told you before, when I go to a foreign country, I love to do things that are part of the culture. And this definitely was one of those things. So we went off to the saunas. And it was a great place. The cool thing about it, and it's hard to really describe the entire experience, but everyone's running around completely naked, co-ed, and there's different saunas and different rooms where you're getting scents and different temperatures, and then you have a bunch of different pools that are at different temperatures as well. And so really, instead of, going to a bar on a Friday night, everyone goes there. And so I did ask my friend Mullet, hey, is it weird seeing people you know? She's just like, no, the body's the body. I love the European vision of, being naked. It's just a body. I was laughing as I was there, and I was kind of telling her there were so many people there, and there wasn't any ogling, any disrespect. And I told her, I was kind of laughing, and maybe I'm wrong about this opinion, but I think I'm pretty accurate. In the United States, it would never work. You'd have creepy people trying to hit on you or, grab your boob or ogle you and act all like a fool. It was just kind of natural and normal there, and I loved every minute of it. What was super interesting, and I realized this at the end of the day, but seeing I'm talking about the saunas, I didn't even think about it once that I was running around completely naked in a co-ed place. And as you know, if you've been following my journey and how much work I did with my body and clear total acceptance of my body, I was super proud of myself for coming so damn far and understanding how uptight and legally minded Americans are, and I was, as now it was a completely different mindset for me. It was amazing. I didn't even think about it once. I was just running around. The other cool thing is, I think I've shared with you guys, my mom was quadriplegic. So as in the sauna area, I saw a naked woman in a wheelchair, totally normal, totally naked. And it just struck me that, again, it's just such a better life. No one judges. Everyone's normal. A body's normal. No issues. Again, I'm saying it so many times like it was an issue. It wasn't. It was just a stark difference into how Americans deal with bodies and body shaming and how they think about them. So anyway, I had great conversations with Mullet around me realizing that I'd been played from the start by Hottie. And then I realized that I was drugged when I was drinking the time that I was sexually assaulted. And I talked about that in the earlier videos from Amsterdam back in, January 2023. She's an amazing medium, and it was really nice having her confirm my downloads without even prodding or even telling her about it. It was super cool to talk to her. It was really great trading notes on how excited we were about the future, how excited we were about the development of our gifts, It was just nice being with my soul sister, someone who was new in my life but felt like I had known her forever. I'm sure we were connected in a past life or something. But it was just so nice to have very vulnerable, safe conversations that you're not judged. You can show your underbelly. I compare it like a little porcupine, this soft little belly that you're showing, and have real conversations. It was just such a beautiful day the whole time. One of the funniest things, and I won't go into too many details, but you've got a bunch of different saunas there. And again, I told you, I like to experience what happens in different cultures. One of the things that blew me away, and it still cracks me up because I asked people from Holland, I asked Wizard about it and I asked Mullet about it, and they said it wasn't a normal thing after all. But in one of the saunas, they actually have people who kind of whip around towels to cool people off and to give them different experiences when they're in the sauna. So it's actually quite an art there. And one of the events that we were at, I'm laughing because I can still picture it. There was picture like being in a theater and watching a play, and the towel person is putting on, dramatic music. And by the way, it was all in Dutch, so I had no idea what was going on. But you've got, probably 200 people sitting naked in this theater, this sauna theater. The heat's blasting, the towel person's doing all this dramatic stuff with the towels and putting on like a show, like you'd see in a dinner theater. And I had so many questions going on in my head about this like naked dinner theater. I wasn't sure what the point of it was. I guess it was a competition. They were practicing for a competition. And let me tell you, they were really incredible. But I'm sitting there naked. I'm not sure if I'm enjoying a sauna experience or dinner theater or naked dinner theater. Anyway, it was definitely one of the highlights of that experience. It was super funny. She looked like a bullfighter. And I knew that they had been practicing for so long to do the competition. But anyway, I hope she won. One of the other funny things when I was at the sauna was when I had been joking with Wizard at Hogwarts about those freezing cold baths, right? Of course, he had trained his body to withstand an enormous amount of time in those freezing cold baths. And given I grew up in Saudi Arabia, there was nothing appealing about it at all, despite the fact that he was telling me how good it was for your body, right? And of course, he could probably do it for minutes on end. I forget what his time was, but it was ridiculous. As we were talking about it at Hogwarts, I jokingly told him that I didn't want to be perfect, and that's why I avoided them and stuck to both my coffee and my cigarettes too. I remember him laughing his ass off. He didn't really know me that well at that point to my response. So when I knew I was going into Amsterdam and I'd see him at some point. So when I was at this sauna, I, of course, sucked it up and I went in the freezing cold one. Purely, just for a couple seconds. I don't even know if it lasted a couple seconds. Purely so I could spunkily text him and tell him now I was closer to perfection. Too funny. I was really starting to feel back to myself in a really great way, but kind of in a better, newer, improved version of me. And of course, as the universe does, over lunch, we met a lovely waitress who shared, this was still at the sauna place, who shared that she hadn't been engaging in the stuff that she loved. Just came up to us and started talking to us. And that she was a healer. And so, of course, as the universe does, I got the nudge and opportunity from the universe to encourage her to go back to healing, tell her about the classes at Arthur Finley that both me and Mullet had been to, and talk about kind of igniting her own soul path. It was a really great conversation. She couldn't have been sweeter. At this time, too, I'm still getting all sorts of romantic songs through Claire audience that I would promptly shut off and play some single fight song. I promptly ignored them because they got, they were getting hammered in my brain. It was during this time, too, in a conversation with Mullet, that I think we went to a nice dinner. God, she took me to the most beautiful place. I just had such a good time with her. she took me to this beautiful place for dinner one night, and it was multiple courses, and it was fancy, and it was French, and we just being with her. I think we actually it was like being on a date. I think we actually they finally kicked us out of the restaurant because they were trying to close. It was just so nice. But it was during these conversations that I also made the final decision to sell my car and my furniture and officially move overseas. When I, eventually settled down, it would probably be overseas. I wasn't giving up the digital nomad yet, but just kept paying storage fees for both the car parking, even though my little old SLK had such sentimental value. It was a 99 and I loved it because you can't get stick shift very often. And, I like driving fast. But anyway, I knew I had to give up my girl finally, and it just didn't make any sense to be paying monthly for parking and then paying storage fees for all my stuff. And it was really silly because I was spending, all my time just going back stateside to pick up meds, prescription meds, and then going back over. And it was silly to keep paying all this money for no reason. And it was stupid to do, for minimal sentimental stuff. I decided that next time I hit stateside that I was going to handle selling all of my stuff to do it. So again, I'm still at this time when I'm in Soest, or however you pronounce it. They'll probably be laughing when they see this video. I spent probably 5 days at the hotel you see, and again, I really lucked out from a price standpoint as well as a location standpoint. It couldn't have been a nicer place, and the train was so easy out of Amsterdam to get to it. So I highly recommend. It's such a cute little town village. I don't know what to call it. But I was still doing coaching. And so after the time with Mullet, then I was headed back onto the train, back into the city of Amsterdam to stay. And I knew I'd see her while I was in Amsterdam too. So we made some plans to see each other in a week or two, and I trailed off onto the train, decided to get on the train and head into Amsterdam. So I'll talk about that experience on my next video. It may be too long, so I may break it up into a couple different videos. But until then, have a great weekend. Take care.